RWorld, and welcome back to RWorldTalk. We are fresh off the heels of TechCon, and I am excited to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Carrie with Caremark Realty. Welcome.
Thank you. I am absolutely excited to be here.
Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with us. Carrie, you're not a local Floridian. You're from up in Illinois. So tell us how long you have worked in real estate and where you reside. Obviously, I just said Illinois, but practicing. You're practicing down here in Florida, I hear, and in Illinois as well?
Yes. So I will say practicing for sure in Florida, but I am in Illinois, and I started in real estate in 1997. I actually started with a builder, and then I got licensed in 2001.
I know some people who started with builders and had some pretty serious success in the real estate world. So that's definitely a good position to be in, especially when resales start coming back on the market. So congratulations on that success. You've worked with NAR on some digital marketing projects over the years. We briefly touched on that before we started recording. You're considered a successful digital marketer. So why don't you tell us some of the things that you've done for NAR and really how you got into that space? What led you into the field that you're in as far as that's concerned?
So pre-real estate, I actually edited a television program. So hopping into the digital marketing space was pretty easy. And the cool thing about it was, you know, around 2013, 14, 15, I got my master's degree in digital marketing and analytics. And because of it, I wrote the NAR digital marketing practicum for their newer undergrad program at Columbia University out of Missouri.
Really?
Really?
Okay. I wonder how many, I wish that I could get feedback on this. I wonder how many people actually know that NAR has a undergrad program.
And it's newer. So, and when I say newer, you know, during the pandemic or right before the pandemic is when it launched. So it'd be kind of cool to hear if people know about it or if they're even willing to go back to get even their undergrad.
Wow. That's exciting stuff. So how did you get connected as far as, did you get connected with NAR through just being a realtor in Illinois, or was that something that they actually reached out to you to ask you to come on board and help them out with some things?
So, you know, there's always a story.
That's what I'm looking for.
Always a story.
I'm pulling it out of you.
So I'm a mom, and I played in the real estate sandbox for years before I actually got involved, and someone tapped me on the shoulder.
That's the way it always happens.
It always happens. So around 2012, Women's Council of Realtors is how I started in the space of educating real estate agents. And then so 2013, 2014, and then because of that, I had an opportunity to apply to speak for NAR. And so from there is where people started to know who I was.
So I heard that you were past Women's Council state president for Illinois?
Yes. So Women's Council past state president, 2017. And then I was also on their exec board for a few years. And they call me back every once in a while to kind of play in the sandbox of helping them innovate. So even this year, I'm going to be the host of their Leadership Academy coming up pretty soon.
The WCR network is such a tight-knit group of people, and I have heard stories from so many colleagues that have been involved with WCR about how many doors it actually opened up for them.
Opened so many doors, you know, some great leads.
Right.
If it weren't for the council is what a lot of us often say. I've been in local Leadership Academy, Illinois Leadership Academy. I've been in NAR, a graduate of NAR Leadership Academy. And then local board member, state board member, and NAR director. So So tell us about a little bit more about the digital marketing. You obviously have done some work with NAR. You've done some work on TV shows, but when we were talking just beforehand, it seems like that's really something that you're passionate about. So where does that passion come from? I'll say, I remember when Facebook became a thing. I'm like, I'm not doing Facebook. And
I agree. I was right there with you.
There was an admin in the office. I worked for a large brokerage, and she said, Carrie, you need to put your listings on this thing called Facebook. I'm like, nope, I'm on MySpace because I'm watching the kids. That's a thing. So I put my listings on Facebook, and from there is when I realized I could actually sell a house on the internet outside of having an actual website. So I've been on Facebook since probably about 2008.
Okay.
Which has, and it was never intentional, but it became intentional when Facebook pages launched. And from there, I started using strategy for myself because we had email marketing, then we had social media marketing, and I realized if I incorporated all of it, especially with direct mail marketing, I could pull people in and do what is called inbound marketing.
Right.
So I have never been someone that liked to cold call. It was painful.
Yeah.
Painful.
Nobody loves cold. Well, actually, I do know one person that loves cold calling, but I think she's the only person that I've ever met that loves cold calling.
There's at least one. And
you know who I'm talking about, Eliana.
Right. There's always that one person, and I could think of at least one or two in our market. But the truth is I realized if you called me, you were ready to make a decision. So integrating direct mail, social media marketing, and email marketing, I could lead capture and then make the work come to me.
Right. And Facebook is incredibly powerful with all the new, I shouldn't say new tools. So I was like you. I was the person that refused to adopt social media in any format. I did have MySpace. But Facebook, no, absolutely not. Hated everything about it. But now to look at what a tool it could be for your business and the different sorts of insights and analytics and not reverse targeting. What do you call it? Where you get somebody to come back to you. Not cookies. You know
it's the retargeting. It's
retargeting. It is retargeting.
Everyone gets their own, it's almost like their own code.
IP address kind of thing.
Yeah, and then you can put it in the back end of your websites. And then it's almost like a form of artificial intelligence. You can't figure out why those shoes keep popping up.
Yep.
Or that briefcase,
yep.
Or that jacket. It's because you went and looked somewhere else and now the internet has figured it out, or because you've downloaded an app and you've given it permission to listen to you.
Okay. Ooh.
Every app you download, no one reads. No,
you just click accept because you're trying to get in there real fast, right?
Right. And so every app you have given it permission to listen to you. So we've been using artificial intelligence before those things called Alexa and, the Google Home,
right?
All of that. We've been using artificial intelligence for a long time.
Yeah, there was, I think everybody thinks that, I certainly did until just this very second, thought that was just like an urban myth. Because I will tell you, just a couple of weeks ago, having a conversation with someone and what we were talking about, and I know dang well I did not go and look it up anywhere, and sure enough, it was popping up everywhere. It popped up on my Facebook feed. It popped up as an ad on Instagram. I started seeing it in the corner of my browser when I was looking at other things. I saw it pop up on Amazon, so I didn't realize that my apps were listening to me. Very interesting stuff. Okay.
Why you should not plug up your phone and leave it in your room at night.
Interesting. Okay, now you're scaring the hell out of us. So we're going to move on from that one. No, I'm just kidding. But you just talked about AI. So you're obviously grasping the AI trend. I did talk with our marketing team beforehand, and they had told me that you actually were an early adopter of AI. So I know it's like, the topic of conversation right now, everybody's saying ChatGPT and what are you using AI for? But you were a keynote speaker for TechCon. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you figured out that AI was going to be a useful tool for your business and what it's been doing for you?
So I'll say this. There's all these modeler programs out there like SAS and SPSS or IBM SPSS Modeler,
okay,
which uses the ability to do predictive analytics. So people have already been building these artificial intelligence tools. Even our multiple listing services have the ability to get data to figure out what an image is. And we already know that our multiple listing services are trying to build smarter tools so realtors can provide value with the consumer.
Sure.
And now we should be able to list properties in seconds or minutes just based on artificial intelligence. We have apps now. You've probably done it, and I won't even say what the app is, but you've walked up to a house and snapped an image, and it pulls all of the data. That was artificial intelligence. We just were using it because we were told to. We didn't do the research.
Uh-huh.
So I have been using these tools to pull data to kind of figure out what's the best house to sell, what's moving pretty quickly, where should I be working. And there's a real estate agent in, I think, the Georgia marketplace that has worked with sellers and buyers that have never seen the property using predictive analytics just to figure out how to list and buy the best house just by throwing in all of the data that we use every day.
Really?
Typically what we do is we want to go find the house, list the house, close on the property, and help someone move somewhere else.
Right.
But it's the agents that are innovative and think, I need to go figure out how to find the inventory, not just to list the inventory, but to move it quickly because I'm using tools like predictive analytics.
Okay.
There are 416 properties in, I'll say it, Kissimmee, Florida, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, no mortgage, 10 plus years in the home.
That's the way that I used to prospect.
And 144 absentee owners. When realtors say they don't have a list, I'm like, here's the list. So now you can imagine being licensed in Florida and I don't know a lot of people. Here's my list.
Right. 100%.
Here's my list. So when agents don't know what to do, we have the predictive analytics. We can go find it. It's called work.
It is
Chris,
called
it's called
work. Dude, people are going to start to have to, well, you know what? I think more than ever, we need to work a little bit harder at our craft. Before it was, I shouldn't say it was easier, but certainly we were all set in our ways. Real estate is a relationship-based business. The only way that you're going to put buyer and seller together is to create that relationship between your buyer or your seller and find out exactly what it is that they're looking for, help introduce them to the property, and go ahead and make the sale. But now we're going to have so much competition from the AI space that people have already figured out that your seller's about to move before you even hear it on the street.
Right. And if agents figure this out and use their data that's provided to them from the local association,
right,
they can now just take that data, throw it into an AI tool, and then have the data explained down to a 5th grade level and put it in a letter, put it in a newsletter, go create a YouTube video, go create a 60-second video on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, even Pinterest, and explain that information because they're going to be the ones providing the value, and providing that value is going to make someone call them.
Makes a lot of sense.
No excuse.
No excuses. Okay, so tell us, you're talking about taking that data, dumbing it down to a 5th grade level and sending it out to your sellers. But how exactly should we be using AI? Because you had mentioned doing social media videos. So should we be using AI to create our scripts for those videos? Or should that be something that, we just had Anthony Lamacchia from up in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. He had come down and he had said, people now have become so, social media has become so sterile because everybody is, dolled up, always showing their, best faces. And he had a friend of his that had said, why is it that you get so many hits on the videos that you put out when you're running and you're all sweated up and you got your ball cap on, you don't look professional? And it's because people want real. So can you use AI in order to help you along your way, script you maybe, but still be able to do something that comes off as real to the consumer that they're going to want to call you and work with you?
Yeah, it's your think tank. It helps you think. The hardest thing for people to do, especially real estate agents or realtors that have been in the industry for decades, is to take what's here and to put it into the written word or the spoken word.
Okay. So
the value of taking information, and you can use tools like ChatGPT. ChatGPT has also been integrated into Canva. And you could literally go to...
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man, I'm getting a wealth of information out of you.
They have magic, right? You could create a presentation in minutes.
Okay.
So you could use, and I like to go to ChatGPT first because it's just faster. Mm-hmm. So I can go to ChatGPT and say, give me 9 scripts for rent versus buy or rent versus own in a table view with a good hook, a description, a call to action, and hashtags. Hit enter, and it spits it out in like a spreadsheet view.
In Canva.
In Canva. No, in ChatGPT. But wait, okay. Then you can take that, copy, cut, and paste it and put it into a spreadsheet, Google Sheets, or even Microsoft Excel, and download it as comma-separated value, CSV.
Yep.
And then you can actually bulk create in Canva and build 9 reels or posts in less than 60 seconds.
That is absolutely mind-blowing.
So you can work faster. And so for the agent that's afraid to build their own content, that's one way. But you are absolutely right. You can come up with the ideas, like give me 9 ideas on the value of moving to a certain area because it'll pull the data from the communities.
Okay.
And then now you can go talk about it. You can go do a 60-second video because ChatGPT created it. So even forget Canva, you can just go and get the information. And then you can go talk about it.
That
For truth,
is,
and just go and do the video.
That is incredible. Okay, so obviously this is going to be hugely important to everybody's business moving forward, especially in the new age where, millennial buyers are making up more than 40% of the buyers that are coming into our market. They're the largest generation of home buyers right now. So where are we going to find them? We're going to find them on social media. So these social media tools are huge, especially if we have the ability now to have artificial intelligence working to our advantage to help us create the social media. So you don't have to be the millennial realtor in order to hit the millennials. You can be the old school realtor like I am, which I'm relationship business. We don't need social media in order to go and take care of business. But if we need to hit more people, you've got to meet people where they are. So in order for people like us who are late adopters of Facebook, hates using social media, now we've got these tools that are available. But if you were going to tell a realtor today where they're going to get their start in working with AI to their advantage, where are you sending them? What is their jumping off point in order to get their feet wet in this space?
Start using either ChatGPT, or there's another tool called Perplexity, or even Canva.
Okay.
So pick one.
I think everybody's got Canva.
Everyone's got Canva. Or
should have Canva.
Yes. Or should have Canva.
Should have.
Pick one and then just start asking questions. They're also called prompts, but start asking questions.
Okay.
And then as you play with it and you get to know it, then you'll figure out how you want to use it. For me, I didn't even start with the listing descriptions. I went straight for, I wanted to explain data, because when I was in high school, I learned how to sew. I could design a wedding dress. By the time I graduated high school, I probably made 6 prom dresses.
Okay.
I got hired at a tech company in the early 90s based on my identical twin sister's skills, because she was techie and I wasn't.
Okay.
So, and again, hated math. Good with my hands.
Yeah, sounds like an awesome space for somebody like that to be in. Yeah, let's put her in the tech space.
Right. So for me, if I can learn how to use technology, if I can learn how to explain data, anyone can do this. So pick one of the tools and figure out what you don't know.
Okay.
And then ask the questions.
Ask the questions of who?
Of what you want to know. So for example, if you are someone that needs to know how you take the data that's provided to you from the local association,
right,
copy, cut, and paste it, and say, explain this information this data down to a 5th grade level.
Okay.
And then you get the answer.
So you're asking
I'm literally
AI.
asking AI.
Got it.
Then I can also say, take this same information and write a letter to a seller in this city with the same information or data down to a 5th grade level, with a great call to action at the end. Okay. That way, when the consumer gets it, it's as if you explained it. So you don't have to be an expert at explaining data, because these tools will do it for you.
Okay.
I always caution people to read.
Yeah.
Read it, make sure it's accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
And make changes. You can still make it your own.
Yeah, the stuff is still flawed. We got to make sure that we're reading what it's spitting out and make sure that it's coming across exactly what we meant it to.
Right.
Okay. So if you can give our members a bit of valuable information, let's go away from the ChatGPT and AI space. Where do you think that we would be able to hit the most people? Where are people right now? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it some other type of digital marketing? I know you probably know some Google Analytics and things like that. I mean, where is our time best spent? Where is our money best spent when it comes to advertising ourselves, promoting our business, making sure that everybody knows that we are alive, we are realtors, and we are here to help you?
Pick the one social network where your friends are, or where people know you.
Okay.
So a good example would be I would be a part of the Gen X group, so that's where I'm going to hang out. Okay. And be consistent, be, comment, engage. It's like, if you go to an event and you sit down, you open up your phone and you never get up to talk to people, you can't generate new business. The same thing applies to social media. You don't have to be the person that makes a post every single day, but you do need to be the person that actually comments and engages, because what people don't know is the more you engage, the more likely you are to be pushed up the feed.
That's important to know. And I don't think a lot of people know that. They feel like they're going to jump into a group and all of a sudden their comments are going to show up when they do talk. But it's really those people that get the top fan badges, the top commenters, those types of things. That's what's really going to help you. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Okay.
And if you're the person that's like an introvert, that's when you invest in paid ads. So there's an agent in my office, and I remember she picked me up after walking in a parade, and I said, "So how's business?" And she told me, "Carrie, I don't have a lot of friends." I'm like, "Tell me more about this." And she really grew up not, networking or meeting the people at the high school or even in college. And so I said, "Okay, you're probably going to have to start paying for ads." And so she actually pays for Google Ads, and her business started with working with tenants, and it is working for her. So you need to know, are you someone that has a huge network? Start with that social media platform.
Right.
If you are under the age of, I think, 33 or 34, they have always known the World Wide Web. They are more likely to engage with you on social media and choose to hire you. If
that
you
is
are
so true. Gen
Xers, baby boomers, or the silent generation, they are more likely to hire you from the mailbox. But they do go research you online. They will Google you. Every time I go to see my mom in DC, I become IT. But what I do know is she knows everything I do on Facebook because she calls me to tell me.
Yep.
So they're still doing the research.
My mother is the exact same way. I finally, a couple times I figured out how to, do a screen share so that I could just, take over her computer and do some things. Sometimes I got to go over to the house and make sure that, I'm going to be the IT guy and do whatever. But at the same time, she knows every single post that I've made, comments on it, shares things that I've done. I'm like, you know how to do all this stuff. How come you can't turn on your computer? I don't understand.
Right. My mother's she's not commenting. She's just going to call me.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And now she wants the youngest grandchild, or at least my youngest, to come over and stay with her for a week to fix everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, see, grandkids.
But you have to know where people are so you can engage in the right places. I'm intentional on TikTok. I'm intentional on Instagram. And I have a full built out bio on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. You want to be searchable online. So you need to have the social media sites. Don't feel overwhelmed. Pick one and be intentional. At least engage and post maybe once a week.
I can't remember the last time I went on LinkedIn. I'm going to have to go back in and make sure that I've got my bio all built out. So you just hit on something which was going to be my next question. So you're saying post at least once a week. How often should you be posting, and does it vary by platform, in your opinion?
I'll say it depends on your network. What are your goals? Do you want better engagement? Do you want more followers? Do you want better reach? You have to decide what you want first, and it might just be that you need to be known. So if you were to take the next 90 days on a tool like Instagram or TikTok or even YouTube Shorts, and you posted at least 5 days a week, you're going to grow. People are going to start to follow you, but you still have to engage. If your goal is to just be found when someone goes to search for you online, post at least once a week and engage, because then it will push you up the feed when people find you.
Okay. And TikTok. We've had this come up so many times because general consensus that I have heard, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I have heard that everybody has sort of little niches that they find themselves into. So some people, TikTok would be a fantastic tool for. Other people, your content's not that great and you should not be posting on TikTok.
That would be true.
Okay.
And here's what I always like to say to realtors. Take a moment and ask someone to tell you the truth about your social media. And
people don't tell you the truth anymore.
No, but if
they call you?
Yeah, well, yes, I'll tell you. I'll ask the question, what do you want out of social media? And then I'll say, let's go back and let's archive some things and let's come up with a strategy. Have someone tell you the truth and then just say, okay, I can fix this. Don't be offended. But we need to fix some. You might need to fix some things because you're not growing, because you're not putting out the content that those sites want. TikTok is very visual.
Very visual.
And it could be as simple as that you're going to walk the neighborhood and maybe walk downtown areas. You've got beaches, like you've got places that we have Lake Michigan, but it is not the same as coming to Florida. Right. I live, way out in the suburbs, and we have the woods, we have like a forest. So I can go share that information. I can talk about what my community offers. People do want to see that, and it's great content, but they also want to be entertained. So if you're boring, you got to figure out how to get out of your own shell. Okay.
Yeah, it's so funny when I hear people say, you've got beaches. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I had Lake Erie. I don't know what Lake Michigan's like, but I ain't getting in Lake Erie anymore. I probably jumped in a couple times when I was a kid, but then I grew up and started wondering what might be in there. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go get back in there. But a lot of times the perception is, oh, you live in Florida, gorgeous beaches. You must spend so much time at the beach. We're realtors. We're always working. So the beach I haven't seen in the longest time, but when I need to take a little bit of a break, I get off the sandbar and I go to the mountains. I go to the woods. I want to go hiking. I want to see some grand geography, some topography, because we don't really have much topography down here. We've got Mount Coconut Creek. I don't know if you've seen that.
Not yet.
Okay, you don't want to go there. I'm just playing around. It's garbage town. But no, you're right. Florida is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, we're the envy of the nation as far as the climate that we get to live in. And sure, some of us have boats. Some of us go to the beach all the time, and things are certainly great, but I think we always are yearning for what we don't have right in front of us. And for me right now, I'm yearning for a good social media following. So let's talk about, we went through TikTok. Let's talk about what you may think we should be doing right now as realtors, not even just here in South Florida, because we've got people that are picking up this podcast across the nation, but what really is the most important piece of information that you can give to any realtor who's listening right now about what they could be doing to really sort of boost their business now that the market's started to slow down a little bit, interest rates are up, inventory's down, prices are up. So we're in a bit of a tough market to be a realtor in. So if we want, obviously we've got a little bit of extra time on our hands right now. Where would we best spend that time as far as our marketing efforts are concerned?
You need to be consistent.
Consistency.
You cannot stop marketing. And I would say take your digital marketing and integrate it into your direct mail marketing. Okay. And, we have agents that say, well, Carrie, I don't have the pocketbook to do the direct mail marketing. Right. Figure out how to start somewhere. We have many of the tools that you have in Florida, we have in Illinois. Right. If you can get email addresses and then maybe start doing your digital marketing and maybe consider paying for a Facebook ad around someone's email, you are more likely to generate a lead. And I would say to anyone that feels like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to list a house, there are people that might choose to, get a regular job and they might keep their license. So it's the agents that are consistent. They continue to market. They're consistent with the direct mail. And then they target the people that might be the absentee owners and talk about the values because they're so high. And even if in pre-foreclosures, go look at the pre-foreclosures, the absentee owners, because then maybe they can cash out. And if they cash out, they might still get a check when they close on the actual property.
As opposed to letting the bank just take it all.
Right.
Okay. Good advice. Well, we are, I know how busy you are, so I'm going to go on to my last question that I ask every one of our guests. Okay. And I do know that you do have some investment in Kissimmee, Florida. So I always ask everybody, what is a Florida gem that you found that maybe we have not seen yet? It could be anywhere. It could be a beach, a restaurant, anything that you could possibly think of, a little flower shop, just something that you absolutely love about South Florida or Florida in general. I always say South Florida just out of habit because that's where we are. But something that you love about Florida that you could share with our listeners.
Okay, so this is going to be, a little very basic.
Okay.
Because whenever I come to Florida, my husband wants to move here every day. So we often end up in the Orlando area or the Kissimmee area, and we end up at a restaurant called Osaka's. Okay. And it is a hibachi grill. Yep. It feels like a little hole in the wall, but the food is always great. And then 2 doors down is Shoeland.
Okay, there you go. 2 doors down to Shoeland.
You know, we like
Everybody's
the tourist
listening.
stuff. Right. I just gave them a plug. You know, everyone, you know, we want to go to the beaches. We want to take a break. But, it's a great restaurant. It's not as expensive like in Illinois as like the Benihana's.
Yep.
But it's a great little hidden secret that people don't know about.
Well, twice a year, we always have to go up to Orlando for midwinter business meetings for Florida Realtors, and then we head back up there again for the summer convention at the Rose and Shingle Creek. So this August, I am going to be going to check out Osaka.
Osaka's, right. It might be somewhere around 192.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for being with us, Carrie. And thank you, RWorld listeners, for tuning in once again for RWorldTalk. It was great seeing you. See you next time.